Hi there, in this tutorial I'm going to take you through how to develop your own drop-down list using Microsoft Excel. So in this example, Kwame is organizing a tutorial session and he has a list of participants, and then we want to input the professions of the different participants. So if we take Na or participant 1, we want to know her profession. So she can either be a teacher, a doctor, or a lawyer. We've specified just 3 professions here, and these can be found in my drop down list. So I can select any of them. Alberta can be any of them. Assuming Adai is a lawyer, I select that one too. Then Hansen is also a teacher, I select that as well. We don't want the person doing the entries to manually input their professions here. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this simple task, how to develop this template.
My name is Kwame and welcome to the Explore with Kwame channel. Please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.
To do this, we first of all have to select the cells that we want our drop down list to be appearing in. So I've done that, I've selected it. Then I click on the data tab. Then within the data tab there is data validation, which is somewhere in the middle. We click on data validation. Then after the data validation dialog box appears, make sure you are under the settings tab. Then just beneath allow there is a drop down here. Click on it and then select list. We want to have a list under our profession, and then also under source. This is where we are actually going to specify the different professions that we want to see appear under the profession column. And then there are 2 ways of doing this. One is what I call the static list method. With a static list, you are going to input directly the names of the different professions here. So my first is let's say teacher, then comma, my next profession is doctor. I type in my doctor, then I type in the comma, then maybe my last profession here is lawyer, so I type in lawyer, then I click OK. So you can see that once that is done, you would have a drop down arrow showing here, which indicates that when you click on it, you'd have the different professions in there. So for Hansen, for instance, when you click on the cell by Hansen, the drop down list, you indicate or you choose one of them. So that is done. Then now let's do the second type of source, which I call the dynamic list. Okay, so now let's try the second source type. With the second source type, which I call the dynamic list, you have to make sure that you've typed out your different professions that you want to be appearing in your list somewhere, either in the same sheet or in a different sheet. So I have decided to type mine in a different sheet, which I've named data. So I'm typing the names out here. My first is teacher, my second is doctor, and then my third profession is lawyer. Okay, once that is done, I come back to my worksheet. Then I select the cells that I want my drop down list to be appearing in. Then I go to data, I come to data validation. Then within the data validation dialog box under settings, what we want to allow is for a list to be popping up. And then with a dynamic list, make sure you've clicked inside the source text box. After clicking inside it, now you're going to select your data. So I come to my data sheet. I want the names or the different profession types to be selected here. So I've done that, I've selected that nicely, and then you see that showing in our source text box. So now I can click on OK. And then once that is done, you can see that the same way our latest profession, we're going to select any of these 3. For Adai, we select any of these 3, and for Hansen, select lawyer, any of them, just so that we would have a very neat working book. now that we've been able to successfully create a drop-down list in our workbook, we have another issue. Yao, for instance, is not a doctor, he's not a lawyer, he's not a teacher. However, Yao is a banker, but we don't have banker as part of our drop-down list. So we want to add to the professions that we have here. So it's very easy to include it in your dynamic list. So let's use the dynamic list approach. So we go back to our data, then we want to add banker to it. Let's try this and see what happens. I type in my banker, press enter, then I go to my workbook. Let's see if banker would appear as part of our list. No, banker didn't appear here. It's because we specified from C6 to C8. Banker that we added is in C9, which is outside our range. So in order for us to successfully do this, you can input the new profession within or between teacher and lawyer. It shouldn't be outside teacher and lawyer. So what I can do is I can put it here. I'll create another row here and then type my banker here. So I'm going to delete this banker down here. Once I've put in my banker in the range and it's within our first and last names as specified earlier, if we come to our drop down list, you see that banker appears here, which is so cool. So we see banker appearing in there, and it makes it very easy for us to select. So Yao is a banker, so I've selected that nicely. Okay, so we want to add another profession to it. We want to add pilot. So let's try. We type pilot down here, which is below our specified range. So of course we know that it's not going to show as part of our drop down list. But I'm just trying to let us learn a new trick here. For us to put this within our range or array, there's a short form of doing that. You don't need to now come and create a new row and then type in your pilot. All that you need to do is hold your shift key on your keyboard and then make sure the cursor is at the edge of the cell, then you drag it to anywhere you want it to be. So I want it to be here, so I just leave it there, and then that is it. So it's a new trick that you've learned. Just use it in your Excel and you're going to really love it. So now that we've successfully developed our drop down list, we want to add a few more tweaks to what we've done here. So let's select the whole of the cells here and then go to our data tab, then click on data validation. So we can see that our validation criteria is still here, and then we want to move to the next tab in the data validation dialog box, which is the input message. So what this is doing is we want to put out a message there so that anyone who will be updating this sheet for us would know what to do and what not to do. So under the title we just type in something and just a notification, so I can see hello. Then I'll just let them the input message. That's where we're going to type exactly what we want, or the instructions with respect to this particular workbook. So we say please select from the list by clicking OK. So that is what is showing here, so that anytime someone comes here and wants to update our list for us, there's a notification here that hello, please select from the list. However, we know very well that sometimes people do not really read the notifications or the guides that are on the screen, and then because of that they would want to input the professions or the list there directly. They want to type it manually, so probably they go to type in something that they are not supposed to type. Assuming the profession for George, the inputter types in nurse. We don't want that to happen. We don't want them to be inputting anything in what we have here. So let's see how we can secure our sheet. First of all, always make sure that before you do anything in terms of data validation, you have your cell selected. After selecting, you go to data, validation, and then under your data validation, make sure you click on error alert. And then within the error alert, there are three different styles. We have the stop style, the warning style, and then the information style. However, for the purpose of what we are doing, we are going to concentrate on the stop style. So what the stop does is it's not going to allow you to alter anything within this specified location. You can't type any other thing in, you can't change anything there. So it's going to give you an alert, but we want to give the alert a title. So you can give it any title you want. I choose to use the stop there title. And then what kind of information do we want to relay to them? We want to let them know that they are to select from the list specified. So you click on OK. Alright, so Jolly's profession, it says that hello, please select from the list. The person entering the data didn't read the notification here, comes here and starts typing that George is a nurse. Clicks enter. So we see that the alert that we specified has popped up. So it says that stop there, please select from the list specified. The person has two options to either retry. When you click on retry, it gives you the option to type or to select from the list. So we can select, or the same way under Richard, the person types nurse, clicks enter. Then now, because it's an invalid entry, error alert pops up again. The next option is to cancel. When you click on cancel, it takes off whatever that you've entered in the cell. It takes it off totally. So we don't have that there again. Well, that is it. So we've been able to create a nice drop down list, and then also we've been able to add a guide here, and then we've also been able to secure workbooks so that people wouldn't be able to alter any of the items that we have here. I believe you've learned something new, and then please apply it in your different Excel workbooks. Thank you.